Welcome to another segment of On the Road with me, meteorologist Kayla Smith. Today we are at the Office of Emergency Management. We're going to talk to them about what they do here. We're going to take a tour through their facility and see how they are preparing for the winter weather season. I am joined here by Deputy Director of Public Safety, Tim Henry. And Tim, describe the room that we are in right now.
Kayla, right now we're in the Emergency Operations Center at the Public Safety Training Facility here on Scottsville Road. This is a Monroe County facility that was built about 25 years ago for the sole purpose of bringing all of the different county agencies, city agencies, and extended partners together during an emergency to help coordinate the response to and the recovery from any of those disasters or emergency. And we're very pleased that we've just upgraded some of the facility here with some new classroom soundproofing to allow this to be used as more as an instructional space, because we're busting at the seams here at the Public Safety Training Facility, and disasters fortunately don't happen every day, but instruction, training the folks that could respond to those emergencies and help us recover from is a daily demand. So this is both a classroom space as a working space during any of our emergencies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's so important to keep people engaged in that preparedness and being able to mitigate any type of disaster. You know, you always want to be prepared for that. So what are some of the folks that you have in here on a typical day where you've got severe weather, severe winter weather? Describe what this room would kind of look like during a snowstorm.
So during a snowstorm, and our response to these emergencies has significantly changed since COVID. What we learned during COVID, with all of the issues that we had with large groups of people assembling, is we've learned to respond to, plan for, respond to, and ultimately recover from a lot of these emergencies in a virtual way. So prior to COVID, we may have filled this room with 45 or 50 people for, let's say, a weather-related emergency. Ice storm or windstorms that we get frequently here, sure. People working it. Probably half to a third of that number now, and our philosophy is we don't want to take the people that are closest to helping the people respond to and recover from these disasters away from their strength, i.e. their local operations, and put them here in a room where they're ultimately going to be talking to someone back at their home base again. So our philosophy has evolved over time. However, when we do get to the large incidents, we'll talk a little bit about our radiological emergency planning we do, since we're a county that's adjacent to Wayne County and within 10-mile radius of the Gannett nuclear power plant. That's a significantly different animal to respond to than it would be, let's say, a typical Rochester winter or blizzard or ice storm. A lot more agencies involved, a lot more higher concerns for public safety if there's a radiological release, and so we need more resources here to respond to that. So,
sure. Yeah, absolutely. Because the winter weather, you know, that's something that you expect to have and something that you can more kind of expect to happen in the winter, whereas something like that, you know, a nuclear disaster is not something that is as common as a snowstorm in Rochester.
We kind of break them down. Those are the minuscule or small percentage of occurring, but high effort. So that's high effort to plan for, high effort to train for, and significantly high effort to respond to.
We had some snow. We got about 4 or 5 inches in Monroe County just last week. It was November 10th. So it was a little earlier in the season, but I'm sure you guys were prepared for that. And how kind of did that go?
So again, the last 5 years, we've utilized social media a lot more and more frequently than we have in the past. So here in the Emergency Operations Center, the Office of Emergency Management, we have an X account. The county executive maintains both an X account and a Facebook account. And so we share information for any of those kinds of events. So an example, you're right, you know well as a meteorologist, those first storms of the season where there's no rock salt or treatment down on the roads, people aren't used to driving in those events. We put out cautionary information, not threatening information, because it was not going to be in the forecast of National Weather Service or yours a significant event, but it was going to be the first sticking snow, going to occur versus during rush hour. So we put out simple reminders of, hey, look it, slow down, take extra time, don't pass any salt trucks or plow trucks, right? Those simple things that you want to do to inform people, not to scare people about here's what it's like living in Rochester, New York, right, in upstate New York.
Just reminding them of the basics that they need to know for the winter.
And in addition, so we just announced yesterday, Monroe County is launching Monroe Alert. So this will be a web phone-based app that you can get down either from the Apple store or from the Android store. Put it on your phone, and you can register to receive emergency information, either the normal feeds from the National Weather Service, so we feed National Weather Service watches and warnings out, those issues that you may want to be aware of. So you can select whether you want to know if it's going to snow, if it's going to rain, if it's going to be windy, if it's going to ice. You can literally select whatever bulletins or information you want to receive from the National Weather Service at your zip code location. So you can customize it. Same thing, that then once you register, that now gives us an opportunity if there are non-weather related but emergency related communications from the county government that we want to get out to people. And I'll give you an example, one that was non-weather related. During the cloud strike event of a year ago, July, when the internet was attacked, not really attacked, it was a failure of a carrier. Our operations were affected, and so we had to communicate to people. We did it via social media, as well as other public notifications out through all forms of media, that county government was going to be closed for the Friday before 4th of July. Now we can, in addition to those outlets, we can use our Monroe Alert app to continuously communicate with people. How are you back in service? When is the clerk's office going to be back open? Things of that nature that are critical things. Folks that need medical care out at our Westfall Road facility. So thinking about communicating, right, as you mentioned, where people are, where they live, and communicating right now, we launched 6 different languages that all of those alerts, phone calls and text messages will be in 6 different languages. So it's not just English, including ASL.
Oh, awesome. So you can really communicate with a lot of people in the community that way, and especially being able to give them the push notifications right to their phone, even if they're not on social media.
Exactly.
Now, did you say that that app is available for download now, or
it's available right now? You can go to the monroecounty.gov website. There's a link there to sign up and register. It'll take you right to the website to sign up for it. On your phone, you can either go to the Apple Store or to the Android Store. And the application we're using, so this is going to be Monroe Alert that rides on the back of Everbridge. And there's an Everbridge 360 application that you can download, but it's easier to just go to monroecounty.gov, and there's a link to register, and it'll take you right to the registration page.
Wow, awesome. I think that's going to really help a lot of people.
We're very excited about it. It's a big step for us. And again, you talk about continuous improvement, and that's one of the things is a philosophy here for emergency management for us here in Monroe County, is a plan is not a plan forever. The conditions change, the community changes, the needs of the community change, and if you're not continuously reviewing that plan, training on the plan, and exercising the plan, it's a plan that's going to fail if you have to implement it. So again, this is an additional tool for us, and we're very excited for it.
Yeah, always growing, always changing.
Absolutely.
And such. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about the budgeting for salts and plows. How is that looking for this upcoming winter? And when are those plows starting to gear up, get ready for the winter?
So Monroe County, we do not plow any of our county roads. We subcontract with essentially memos of agreement that we have with the local geography. So it could be a town, it could be a village, it could be the city of Rochester or whomever that county road may go through. And so while the county doesn't directly plow those roads with our equipment and our crews, we do interact with our Department of Transportation, interacts with those local agencies. And everything that we've heard so far, it's not like last year. Everybody seems to have adequate supplies on hand. All the salt barns are filled and ready to go. And so we feel very good, much better than we did a year ago with some of the supply chain issues. And now you wait for the weather. Now, again, as I said, I've lived through some pretty tough winters up here in upstate New York where It doesn't mean if we end up with a significantly higher than normal snowfall and colder than normal winter and you're burning salt at a higher rate than you planned, you could have some issues in the future. But right now, we're in very good shape to start the winter.
That's good. That's very good. So you want to kind of walk me around here, show me some of the rooms that we've got available here and what goes on in them?
Sure. So as we mentioned before, we start off here in the Emergency Operations Center. So if there is an emergency, this is where both county agencies and our extended partners from around the county, as well as the state and potentially at the federal level, depending on the type of emergency we're dealing with, will convene to literally, this is the workspace. These are the people that are going to go out and solve the problems that come up during an emergency, right? As well as exercising the plan. So we have a winter weather plan. We have a plan for hazardous material spills. If a train rolls off the tracks somewhere along the West Shore line or the CSX main line, we have a plan for both responding to as well as convening the resources that might be needed for an extended duration event, community evacuations, community sheltering, and ultimately allowing those people to get back into their homes. Workshopping and statusing how well we're doing on that plan and what the conditions are of that emergency is updated here and processed here. The information and decisions that are made is then communicated back, most likely the county executive or his representatives will be back here in our command room, located in the west side of the Emergency Operations Center. And here at what we like to call the big table, and it's a big table and it gets very busy in here during an emergency, the county executive or his designee will be at the head of the table. And here, utilizing some projectors that we have, we'll have screens put up here that'll be tracking the number of calls that are coming in from 911. We could be tracking the activity if it was a hazardous material spill, looking at the, I'd say minute by minute process and operation of that hazardous material spill. We could be looking at status for resources. And we could be monitoring now on TVs here, all the local TV stations, on how information is being reported out on this emergency. And as you know, in the business that you're in, getting consistent, correct information out to the public, right? And especially now with social media, right? It's the good and the bad, is the pervasiveness of bad information and incorrect information. That's our obligation to make sure we're continuously feeding the correct information out to the public. Number one, to help them do the things that we may be asking them to do, like shelter in place, depending on the emergency, or prepare for evacuation, like we have a significant plan in our Gannett radiological area up in the northeast part of Monroe County, the Webster-Penfield area. Or the emergency's over, return to your normal life. And it even extends to areas that if we do have sheltering, or an example of long-term ice storms that cause power outages. Where are the drop locations for dry ice? Where are the locations if we're providing bottled water? Where are the shelter locations? Let's say the town of Perrington opens up a shelter for folks who are affected by a long-term power outage. Same thing in Henrietta or Greece or wherever those community centers may be set up for sheltering or simple warming locations where people show up during the day, charge your phones, stay warm, and maybe return to their home at night and wait for the power to come back on.
Now, is that the type of information that would go out with the app that you guys have, that Monroe County app? All of that information could be found there. Those warming shelters, if you're giving out bottled water and things like that, keeping people updated, all goes through that app?
All goes through that app, and as you said, in every other means that we can communicate with, right?
Social media and everything.
Exactly. What people think is, oh, this is going to be the be-all and end-all, and the answer is not. As you know, being in the communications industry, the pervasiveness and how people get their information, we need to be everywhere.
Yes.
And we need to be everywhere all the time, and we need to be everywhere all the time with the correct information.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is where all of those decisions get made.
Correct.
Put out to everybody.
Yeah, so the county executive sitting here may make a decision based on the information that comes from the EOC floor and recommendations to declare a state of emergency. And the state of emergency gives him special powers that may allow him to restrict travel or stop travel or limit certain areas, or assign police officers to guard areas if there were significant damage in the area of a county, area of the county from a tornado or an ice storm, right? Those things that need to be made, decisions that need to be made. And it also allows him an area here where we update. Not all the decisions come from the county because we are a home state rule here. And so those authorities having jurisdiction, the mayors, the highest elected officials in the villages, the supervisors in the towns, we work very cohesively with them to provide them the best information to help them make decisions that they may have to make in their communities, like opening up their community center for sheltering, or restricting the local traffic laws in addition to travel restrictions that the county executive may bring forward. So it's not the county executive's at the top of the pyramid and he makes decisions for everyone. It's the mayor of the city of Rochester. And so what the key message here is that the EOC is a place to coordinate, collaborate, and cooperate across all the different government entities and the agencies that help respond to that, to do the right things at the right time, right, to keep people safe, and that's our #1 goal.
Yeah, I think that collaboration is so important because people localized in their area are going to know best what their community needs.
Correct.
So having one person trying to call all the shots isn't always the most effective way to do things.
Not at all.
That collaboration is absolutely key. Now there was another room next door.
Sure, we'll take you next door. So this is the command room, and I mentioned the Gannett radiological emergency plans that we're responsible for. So during a Gannett radiological emergency, we would have representatives here in this room from Constellation who operate the Gannett nuclear power plant, members of our field team. So during a Gannett emergency, if there's a potential threat or an event at the Gannett nuclear power plant, our field teams, who are going to be responsible for going out and taking radiological measurements out in the field, feed information back here to our computer system. And our analysts who work here in this radiological room would assess those that data coming back in from the field to determine if there's a radiological leak from the plant, where it's coming from, like what direction is the wind taking it, how far is it getting into our county, i.e. where is it, and then based on that information, there's recommendations on what should we be doing to protect the public. Should we be telling them to shelter in place? Should we be telling them to take their potassium iodide, so the pills that everyone in that area should have access to, again, to keep the radiological elements from coagulating in the thyroid? Those are preventive measures, precautionary measures, as it were, and then it could also extend to, we're going to evacuate the area. And we're going to take the evacuees from there to potentially 3 different schools that we have set up at community reception centers. It could be a decision early on in the event that we work, again, the Webster School District is located here with us, make a decision on, are we going to recommend early dismissal for the Webster School District? Or are we going to do relocation? There's a plan if they missed early dismissal, but we're recommending evacuation of the schools. There's a plan for a student and parent reception center at MCC. So all the students from the Webster School Districts, as well as the Catholic schools in that area that might be evacuated, are then processed through the MCC reception center process. A massive process, a heavy lift, but again, it's part of the plans that we have statutory obligations to provide for. So making the decisions on what's really happening at the plant is a joint effort between our radiological team here, so our radiological manager who works in our OEM department, representatives from the Department of Public Health, and then the operators of the plant. And then based on our plans, we have that all outlined. If we see this kind of radiation at this level, at this point from the plant, in these locations, here's the steps we follow. And there's some guidelines here, as well as some mapping that we look at. But there's essentially flow charts that we follow that says, based on the information, here's the decisions that we're going to make. And if we have to evacuate certain areas, which are here in Monroe County, based on the letter M and the number, to give you an example, this is 1 mile from the plant. So here's the plant located in Ontario, in Wayne County. 1 mile from the plant, 2 miles, 3 miles, and somewhere between 3 and 4 miles is the first tripwire here where they start to get into Monroe County. And so based on that, and depending on the wind direction, if there is a radiological leak from the plant, you could have a northeast wind and maybe the radiological release only gets into 4.5 miles initially, and you want to forecast, and we're processing that here, if the winds continue at this direction for this speed, would it go farther in to Monroe County? And so we make decisions based on these grids, and so based on that first information, it might be, here's the recommendations for M1. So that's Monroe County Zone 1. And the recommendation there may be, take your KI and shelter in place. Or it might be, in a more severe event or a long duration event, take your KI, prepare to evacuate, and if you can't evacuate yourself, there's evacuation routes where RTS buses can pick up people at pickup points, and all of that is communicated to the residents of this, what we call the emergency planning zone here in northeast Monroe County.
Wow. Because I see you've got up here on the screen, and it was something that I wanted to talk to you about, the winter weather safety and survival kits that you could have available in your car and in your home. So obviously those are two different things that you need to prepare for. If you're stuck in the car in winter weather, you can't access anything else. Things that are important to have with you in the car to be prepared for that. What would you recommend for people?
It's what we do, those high travel seasons, what we tell people, if you're going to be traveling during the winter, regardless of what season it is or where you're going, is for your car, keep an extra set of warm clothes in there. Keep an extra couple blankets, right? So if it's just, you and your wife or you and your girlfriend, whatever, fine, that's 2 blankets. If you're a family, it's a different story, right? Keep a blanket for everyone who's traveling in the car. In addition, keep extra food. Keep some dry food stuff in there, little snack bars. Absolutely keep water in, right? Dehydration for long duration events in the cold, that's the thing from a personal safety point of view. Keep that bottled water. Throw a 6 or 12 pack in the car. Keep it in the back of the trunk. If it gets hot or it may freeze, great. But if you're keeping it in your garage, make that decision. Certainly, if you have your cell phone charger, keep it plugged in. And if you're fortunate enough to afford, and they're very affordable now, the plug-in phone charger banks. We have one that just plugs in the wall, and we keep it there all the time. And the newer phones seem to be better and better on energy savings.
Definitely.
And by the way, if you don't need to use it, don't use it. But I would keep keep that cell phone and battery charger in the car. If you can, keep a shovel, something that you can clear your exhaust pipe out with. If you're stuck in a snowbank, and sadly, this is some of the lessons learned from Buffalo, where people literally drove into snowbanks and were plowed in and lived for a certain period of time, but were asphyxiated from the exhaust fumes, right? If they were able to get out or had sense to get out and keep the exhaust pipe clear and your engine running, great. You can keep warm, survive until someone can come and find you. But a little shovel or a piece of wood, a little piece of plywood or something that you can use to just simply shovel the exhaust pipe out from your car. And a first aid kit, right? These are simple things. You don't need $5,000 or $50 or $500 of equipment to keep a little safety kit inside your car, particularly if you're going long distances, right? If you're traveling and you're going to be traveling through areas that snow occurs, these are simple things to have with you.
Yeah, and it's so important, and everybody wants to believe that they're going to be okay, that this isn't going to happen to them, but you always want to be prepared just in case, especially like you said, when you know that you're taking a long drive somewhere and that is a possibility. As for in the home, what is something during a winter storm that you want to keep in mind there?
Very similar, right? So I would say the lesson learned here is the things that give us the most angst are the power outages. And specifically, you self-assess. If you're an elderly person who has many health issues, first and foremost, water for everybody. Not that we expect that the water system is going to be shut down during a power outage. That's typically not the case. It's not high on the list. But it may, and again, not to scare people, in a cyber attack, we know the bad guys are constantly pinging our infrastructure, whether that's water, whether that's wastewater treatment, whether that's the electrical grid, whether that's trying to stop pumping of natural gas or other pipelines. The bad guys are constantly pinging on that. You could find yourself in a non-weather related event that all of a sudden the water system isn't working anymore or was contaminated, and now you can't, it's not even a simple boil water advisory, there's some problems with that. So that water, that bottled water you have around in the house, very important. Again, keep it in the basement. That's good for multiple events, whether it's weather related or cyber related or any other event that may happen. You could end up having, like happened in the city this past week, an 8-inch water main broke, right? And some people were without water for 3 days.
Yeah.
You're an elderly person, you never know, right? So these things, not to scare people, but using common sense and putting some low-cost items in your house or in your car that's going to keep you safe, right? And our motto here is, and we teach a course, or some of our presentations is ready.gov. How can you prepare in the first 72 hours after a disaster or a weather emergency? How can you survive, or how can you live before government or emergency services can get to you? And so it's a little checklist on things that you can work on. Same thing, warm clothes, extra warm clothes, water, medication, very critical, right?
Yes.
That aged population right now, if you're used to going to your pharmacy every 5 days to get your medicine, if you know in advance of the forecast, right? So listen to that forecast, and they're planning for an event that may potentially shut down roads for several days. Maybe you want to get that extra dose of medication, keep it in the house so that it can carry you over if you're stuck in the house and can't get to the pharmacy after a weather-related event.
Yeah, I think that's not always something that's on people's minds.
No,
And people with pets as well, if the pet has medications, maybe making
Very
sure
good.
that is kept up to date and having extra food for them in addition to your family.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great points. And the other thing is simple flashlights. The little LED flashlights now that last forever on AAA or AA batteries. Keep a few of those around. Even if you don't have to leave your house because it's too cold, certainly being able to walk around, and again, for whether it's the elderly population or the average population, is the last thing you want to do is fall down the stairs in the middle of the night during a power outage because there's no night lights on anymore that you've become used to. So
Yeah.
a lot of these simple things. Yeah.
Thinking, well, maybe I could use my phone flashlight in that instance. Why do I need a regular flashlight? Save your phone battery. If you can't charge your phone, then you don't want to be using your battery on a flashlight when you could have one that's handheld and is going to last for a long, long time. Like you said, with the LEDs nowadays, you get those batteries in there, they're going to be, that's going to be your best bet. Yeah.
And then the last caution, I would say, not so much what you need, but what you don't need, is if you're fortunate enough during a power outage to own a generator and operate a generator, make sure that generator is not operated inside of the structure, inside of a garage, or on a porch where the exhaust might be blowing in through a picture window or something like that. Keep it well away from the home. But again, carbon monoxide poisoning from running those generators, again, as well as the fire risk for running those generators inside a structure, no go.
Are there any public events that you have coming up that people can sign up for and maybe learn more about how to keep themselves safe or anything going on like that?
That we've got a civilian emergency preparedness training course. And so you, as an individual person, so non-public safety, how can you be better prepared for these emergencies? And it's great. It's common sense approach, covers a lot of what kind of weather to expect, things that you can do to, as you mentioned earlier, mitigate, right? So keep things from happening before an event. That's the preparation piece, but that's also the mitigation piece. And to give you an example, power outages. Over the last multiple years now, the ash tree issues that we've had with the ash trees dying off. A significant percentage of our tree population here is ash trees. They're dead. They were diseased, they're dead, and now they're standing there, and if they haven't been taken down, and in a windstorm or an ice storm, those ash trees are going to come down. Are they going to come down on your house service? They're going to come down in your house service? Get them, if you can, take them down before the issue. Again, mitigate the problem before it happens.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tim, for talking with me today. You've provided a lot of great information, and hopefully the public's going to be able to use this information and help them.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.